We should start, for people who don't know, we usually start this by doing a clap to sync it up, but we should start doing it. Being as it's Brian May's birthday today, we should have done Radio Gaga.
Happy birthday, Brian May. Isn't it awful now when you see someone's name coming up on Twitter, you're like, oh no.
Oh no, yeah.
Oh no,
yeah.
not him. No, don't be a paedophile. Please.
Yeah.
Please don't be a paedophile. I have, you know that Rolling Stones song, up in my cloud, up on my cloud, isn't it?
Don't know. I'm not down with the Rolling Stones.
Up in my cloud, stare to me.
Get into my car.
You know that one?
Get out of my dreams, get into my car.
I woke up this morning and it's just like, all in my head, it's just like, up in my bush. Doop doop. Doopy doop doop doopy doop. I don't know the rest of the words. I think it's up in my cloud.
Do you need any more words? That's just up in my bush.
No, up in my bush. It's perfect. It's a great way to start the week. You know? Thinking about what's up there. Come here. This woo stuff that you're doing to my family.
This is the best news I've ever heard.
I got a bone to pick with you and you're fucking... So, you know this conspiracy theory I have about Tommy Kelly, where he has a secret room in his house where he keeps a voodoo doll of me and the angel Minerva and has us doing things. Well, first it was just me, and then he said, all right, let's have some fun here. And then he introduces an angel called Minerva for some reason, because he likes the Deftones or something. And then he's like, all right, let's fuck with Spud here and introduce an angel. And then fucking she's talking to Spud and telling him what to do, and he's buying tarot cards and all this madness is going on. And then, right? Then he introduces my old fella, my daddy, my dad, old man. And now, so he's down in Wexford now and he's going around with fucking divining fucking brass welding rods, which I think are a thing. He has to use brass ones for some reason. And he's going around to people's houses looking for what's it called? Geopathic stress.
Yeah.
Tommy Kelly.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, I mean...
doing like...
It's glad to see that he's finally finding the one true way and that he's come over to, you know. Your subscription is up, though, so you need to start paying your fees. Your annual fees for the Church of Tommy need to be paid to continue in this system.
I would send you the video. He sent me one because he's been talking about making a video for ages, and it's like he doesn't have the foresight to put the camera on a block or something. And a block behind it to keep it. So, like, my ma is the worst cameraman in the world, like. And so she made a video, and it's just him with the... I'll send it to him. It's such an Irish parents video, you know? You
should put it up in... well, it depends on, I suppose, on the privacy you want, but you should put it up in the Discord.
I'll put it up in Discord. That's what I'll do. I'll put it up... When you put this public, I'll put it out. Yeah. I'll put it on. All right, check. He's hilarious, like, because he was on to me months ago about this thing, and I was like, this is a load of bullshit. Yeah. And I looked it up, and it's, like, all to do with, like, energy of ley lines and
yeah. Here's the thing, though, like with the divining and the stuff like that, it's easy to kind of bracket it in with the whole kind of woo and, you know, all that kind of crystal rubbing stuff or whatever. But we've talked about this in the podcast before. Like, we pay people constantly to do this when you build a house. You know what I mean? It's absolutely an accepted kind of thing. Now, I mean, and people go, oh, well, anyone come out and you know, if you dig deep enough, you're going to find water anywhere. That kind of is usually the response. But yet, we still do it. You know what I mean? There's obviously some benefit into it. You know, it seems to be something that we're okay with. But I think when it gets the geopathic stress, I remember when I was doing Reiki at college, that 2 years where I did the holistic health studies, there was the Reiki teacher used to do things, but she would do like a pendulum over a map of someone's house to see if there was this kind of geopathic stress. And that was the only kind of time I've really seen it, although we did go to a local healer there not so long ago, or Dr. Soul, we call him, some sort of Dr. Soul, and he was saying that there was no geopathic stress in our area, but he knew that just from his mind. So he didn't have to use any instruments or whatever. He also told me my spirit animal was an elk, so that's pretty cool. I'll take that. That's fine.
Oh, nice.
Because that, you know, that's similar enough to a pan type of image for me.
What's the difference between an elk and a moose? That's not there's no punchline coming now. That's an honest question.
I don't know, because what's the difference between an elk and moose and a large deer? You know, I thought they're just different animals, I think is the answer. Yeah, although possibly not. Elk, now that you said it, elk and moose Would it be one of those things where it's called moose in Canada and elk in America, or, you know?
No, I don't think
or
so,
something?
because they have mooses? Meese, which aren't mice.
No.
What's the plural of
Mooses
moose?
is-
Yeah, mooses. Yeah, no, the mooses here in Poland and in Sweden as well. So they are mooses. Now they are different animals. Maybe an elk is more closer to a deer. You ever see those old? Do you ever see the Irish stags that they dig up from the bogs? Like,
Yeah, huge
whoa,
bastards. Yeah,
fucking hell,
cool.
man.
Yeah.
No wonder they used to be on our coins and stuff.
There's a name. Yeah, there's a
Kick
name
ass.
for them though, isn't it? It's
Paddy.
Paddy the
Oi.
elk, Irish elk. Oh, elk, Mac
No, I
elk.
think they were they're Irish stags or something. I think that's what they're called.
Come here, so I was tell me about what is exactly, do you know, geopathic stress? What's the kind of definition of?
No, look.
I know it's energy ley lines, but it's a heaviness of something, is it? It can give you
Yeah.
cancer anyway, because everything does.
Yeah, everything gives you cancer. No, I mean, I remember, it's a long time ago now since he came up with it first, because I was giving out to him that he got someone into the house to do it. You know, because, you know.
Is it because of health issues, or because he just wanted to, you know, was he getting a bad feeling from
Yeah, no,
the corner of the room?
he's terrified of the big C, because he's
Right.
had prostate cancer, and that's gone. They got rid of that. But like his brother has had it, and loads of people in his families have. But like we're Irish, just everyone gets
yeah.
cancer because we're islanders and all inbred. You know, third cousins removed from each other, all of us.
And because we build villages and towns and fairy circles, and I mean, we haven't learned any lessons from that.
Yeah. So he so he has this thing. But I mean, for him it's no different than having a the radon barrier when you build a new house. You'd have a radon barrier.
I do, yeah.
It's
But
the
they're a
same
legal
for him, it's the
requirement.
same thing. Yeah, they're a legal requirement. And that's not woo, because radon's a thing, you know. So his thing is like, well, anyway, he's been over to his friend's
But I
house.
suppose it's like a carbon monoxide thing as well. It's all from that kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like he started doing it at his house and started finding these places, and then started hammering in like copper bars, I think, just above the surface of the ground. So he'll drive them down a meter, I think, and then there'll be like an inch or two above. I know I'm mixing up my fucking measurements here, but you know what I mean.
As most Irish people do,
just to
in
keep
fairness.
the Americans on side, you know.
Yeah.
And but he says it's working, and he's going to do an experiment now where.
Well, what does it mean by it's working? What has the atmosphere in the house changed? Does the water taste better? And I'm not saying that.
No.
I'm genuinely asking that.
So what he's done is that, like, when he would walk over a patch of ground with the rods and they'd cross, yeah?
Right, yeah.
So then he's put down the copper pipe, and then when he walk over it again, they don't turn.
Right,
So
so
he's
it's not
saying
something
that
that he personally.
Yeah.
It was like if you've an EMF reader, or it's not something that you feel yourself. It's just there's a
Yeah.
and now there's the electricity's
Yeah,
gone.
exactly.
Okay.
And so then, like, this, I think he's going, he was telling us he's going to try an experiment where there's a flower bed that hardly anything ever lasts very long in.
All right.
So he's going to do it over that and then put some copper pipes down into it, and then plant some more stuff. And if it doesn't die, then he knows he's onto something. And I was like, you found your true calling, man. You're about to retire from real work. Now you can
there you
do
can be
all
a
this.
woo man. Is he going to call himself Dr. Soul? Dr. Soul.
So yeah,
Copper
it's,
man.
It's all a bit mad, you know.
The copper thing, that comes up a lot. That comes up in the UFO stuff, and it actually will come up a bit in what we're going to talk about later. And the idea, for whatever reason, that if you're getting abducted or getting, there's aliens coming into your house. I originally first heard of this from Stuart Wilde, but other people said it. They put a copper wire around your bed, and that in some way gives off some sort of neutralizing thing, or they're not able to see you or whatever. But if they still can see you, that you attach like an 8-volt battery to it. Now, ladies and gentlemen of the internet, do not do that. Please don't do that. But I assume that like copper's obviously going to conduct electricity. Is it? I mean, there's the copper. Coils and all that kind of stuff.
It's copper's in our plugs and stuff like that, like. Yeah.
So like you are going to put a live wire around your bed. Oh, fair. But it's like So I suppose if you're getting to the point where you've done the copper wire around your bed and the aliens are still coming for you, then you're probably going to try these things maybe a bit
Look,
more.
you may as well just try and make friends with them. Stop resisting it.
Well, I mean, the obvious answer is just to put a video camera in your room, because then they're never going to come in. Like that's the end.
You might like anal probing. It could be a whole new chapter in your life. Don't know, like. I mean, life is too short. Life is too short to deny yourself these once in a lifetime opportunities. You know.
I think you should be very careful with how you speak these days, because a lot of things that you once jested about or seem to be coming through in your life. So next week we'll be talking about Spud's anal probe incident and how much he enjoyed it seems.
Yeah, well, you know, maybe, yeah, it's something, yeah, it could be, yeah. Maybe I'm like warming up for it this week, because like I've had to tell you now, I've had to do this pantsless because it's so fucking warm up here. You know,
like fully,
no, I have
fully
underpants on, you know. Floppy donkey day.
Yeah. Oh, which I mean, we need the update on that. Did it return to full size after the drinking incident?
Oh yeah, that was fine. It was just temporary. That's all that was. You know what I mean?
Sure, yeah.
Hey, isn't it mad? I didn't know this until the other day. I saw some meme that like Viagra is paid under health insurance in America, but like nothing else is.
That's odd.
It's not not nothing else, but like Viagra is yeah, you'll get free Viagra in America, but you won't get like free what are those, birth control or anything like that? Even tampons. No,
well, see, Viagra is promoting the Christian view of, you know, breeding and, you know, go forth and multiplying. I don't think men is the opposite, though, isn't it?
I don't think 60-year-old men should be allowed to have children anymore. You know.
I don't know, man. Like it was Viagra originally. It was for heart medicine or something, wasn't it? And it was like
it was a side effect. They're like, oh, holy shit! But why all you lads horny? What the fuck's going on here? You know? In a Cork accent, that should be, because it's made in Cork, isn't it? You know?
Is it? I didn't know that.
Yeah, Pfizer in Cork. Jesus, if it wasn't for all the Americans with limp dicks, man, the Irish economy would be fucked. Literally.
So, how's Minerva going for you? Any further revelations?
Do you know what? Because of I was wanted to bring this up with the Alan Chapman and Duncan Barford stuff. Got his name right.
Hey.
It seems that I'm, according to his logic of the steps of the Holy Guardian Angel and Enlightenment and all that, I'm at the crossing the abyss thing, whereas that the communication hasn't stopped, but she's not speaking to me. And interestingly, just like with Chapman, he was told by his guardian angel to do divinations and whatnot through tarot. And he wasn't into the tarot before that. And it's exactly the same thing with me, which is a strange coincidence. But
there's no such thing as coincidences.
Well, maybe not. And so it seems that I'm at this kind of crossroads where you can cross the abyss, but to cross the abyss, you have to be...
You have to do it alone.
Well, you have to do it alone. Look, that's no problem. I'm used to that, making the wank signal. And, no, but it's kind of he boils it down to this. There's a kind of a choice between going on the and I'm careful to use these words, the white brotherhood and the black brotherhood path. So there's if you want to reach enlightenment, then every magic thing that you do should be in line with going towards enlightenment. Everything else is the ego. So it's basically I have to deconstruct my ego and become more one with everything, which I think I'm kind of going that way anyway, you know?
Yeah. So,
that's kind of what's going on. I had something the other day, actually. I've been forgetting to write down the stuff that I've been doing. Yeah, he said that you get a name just before you cross the abyss. And maybe, because I told you ages ago, I got this weird name from her. So maybe that's it. Bogota something it was. I looked it up. It was some waterfall in India. And there was another name I couldn't decipher at all. So maybe that's my, like, magic name. Like, that's fucking mental. But maybe not. No, I don't know. Because I haven't... Like, I'm glad you sent me those Baptist Head ones, because it kind of it's helped me figure out a lot of stuff where I am, because there's very little on this to read about.
Yeah. Well, there's plenty in it, but it's kind of an arcane, mystic, Golden Dawn-y type stuff, you know.
No, but most of it is like how to get there and how to do it. But like what you do after is just like this big bad mystery. Like, I don't.
Yeah, but that's the thing. What I really liked about the whole Baptist Head thing was that it was like two guys, ostensibly two normal kind of, you know, English dudes, and going through this and, you know, writing their stuff and saying what happened, and kind of, rather than just being theory, which most of the books are coming from just theory. And the reason why you don't find an awful lot of it been the experience after, because most people don't get there.
Yeah,
they don't put the work in. They don't have the lucky spongy, whatever it is. They don't have the 500
Tommy voodoo dolls in his room.
And it was really good. And then unfortunately, Alan has that kind of thing of deleting everything he's ever done. In fairness to him, on this one, it was Duncan Barford who deleted all the Baptist Head stuff, not Alan. But Alan does delete everything.
Yeah, he does as well. But Duncan's gone into proper psychology work or something.
Yeah. And the thing is that he doesn't. If you Google him, he doesn't want to be. Yeah. From a professional point of view, doesn't want to be.
Yeah. I understand that. But at the same time, like the guy who wrote Living to Thelema, Shoemaker. I don't forget his first name. David, I think. Not Michael. He, like, when you Google him, like, it comes up that he's this massive ranking guy in Thelema and OTO and all that stuff.
But is it his real name, though? Or is that his Thelema name?
Oh, yeah. He has that's his name, and he has a professional psychiatrist practice going and all that. Like, wouldn't it be mad?
Yeah, but he's American, though, isn't he? Like, so I think that's kind of more acceptable, like in a kind of a British. Well, if you're more, I think that maybe this is just a bias in my head that the more kind of British kind of conservatism doesn't really allow the overlap of woo, say, and professional psychology in the way that I think you have. Like places like in America, what's that place where everyone is just Sedona and these places which are kind of hotbeds for all of the. Okay, well, I suppose you have that in Glastonbury as well, but you have that in England. So yeah, I'm just talking shite as normal.
No, I get you, but I mean, I think I would be a little bit put off if I saw someone, even though like I'm into the woo now, I'm balls deep in this shit, like like I'd still be a bit weirded out because I don't know. For me, maybe that stuff should just be a bit more private or something. I don't know. Then again, maybe not. Then again, if I was seeing someone, he was like, "Oh yeah, I'm a magus of the AA," I'd be like, "Oh, nice one, okay."
Yeah.
Man, do I have questions for you?
but say if your mum went to him and he goes, "Yes, I am a wizard," she'd go, "Right, I'm going to get someone else."
Exactly. Yeah.
But I do know from the therapy stuff I've done that there's certain kind of ways that you have to approach ideas, because similar magical thoughts and ideas also sound like insanity to someone else if they're not in context. You know what I mean?
Like, true, yeah.
If you kind of go around getting messages, you go,
yeah.
Well, I don't mean it in the way that you're looking for it to mean that, that I have an actual thing. But,
I put up a podcast I'd come across with him from, I think it's 2005, so a long time ago, with the Buddhist Geeks, where he's talking about Advanced Magic for Beginners had just come out, and he was talking about the great work, as it's called in the Western magical tradition, which sounds mad, isn't it? The Western magical tradition, but like it's a really good interview, so that's why I put it up. But it's like that's what I wanted to ask about him. Do you think Chapman will go down in magic as someone like a kind of Aleister Crowley type figure?
Yeah, I've thought about that. It's hard to know, and because like it's that kind of thing. If we were sitting around and Crowley was about, we probably would think of him in the same kind of ways as we do Alan Chapman, or Gordon White or whoever it is, that type of thing. But life has changed so dramatically now that the kind of level of, I suppose, fame or knowing or familiarity with people is so much, like we're more familiar with more people, and more people are kind of on higher pedestals, that I don't know if that kind of massive celebrity, a cult celebrity, is a thing that'll happen anymore.
I know, but I don't mean celebrity. I just mean
influential. Whatever, notorious in a positive sense, not negative sense.
No. But I don't mean that. I mean like influentially. Do you think he'll be as seen as important? Because his Majer stuff is, I think it kind of takes what Crowley was doing onto like the kind of the next step for people.
I do too. Possibly his constant deletion of things might work against him. He rubs people up the wrong way a lot, which I personally don't get that, but I know so many people who just can't have him at all, or started Advanced Magic for Beginners and just goes, I can't listen to this guy, And I'm going I say I understand that. I understand that people have different opinions of people that I have, but I don't really understand what's the, why people. I think people don't like. Not all people. Again, I don't want to tarnish everyone with the one brush, but people don't like confident people, you know, when it comes to particularly in spirituality and that whole thing, that he got an awful lot of slack for even saying he was enlightened or awakened or he had that experiences or he had, you know, if you, there's kind of this thing of, you know, you don't ever say that, you know, it's kind of this kind, and then it's kind of a, it's similar to the Catholic kind of, you know, or Christian thing of don't have pride or don't feel good about yourself, or at least do feel good about yourself, but don't ever say it, you know. God forbid you think you're a good person or you've achieved something because you are dirt before God, all of that. And there's a bit of that. But my kind of point, and I've written about it on the blog and I've talked about it in videos, is if we believe this is a thing that happens by meditation, by study, by magic, that you become awakened, or whatever the word is, enlightened, illuminated, going up the ranks, blah, 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 tree of life, whatever model you're using, that there's some, not necessarily an end goal, but there's some a process or whatever. So if we believe that's a thing, then we should accept when people say they've done it.
Yeah,
because,
of course.
Because otherwise, why are we doing it? Just theoretically, oh, someday someone might, you know, we're not the Buddha, he's the only person. But even Tibetan Buddhism that have thousands of people have gained enlightenment and, you know, are saints through. So it's just kind of a thing that we seem as a community, I suppose, to want to only keep that kind of thing in theory, or that it's for other, it's like that thing, you couldn't possibly be a Buddha, you couldn't be a awakened one, it's going to take so many lives and all this kind of thing. Yeah, but we probably, you know, people have done that. You know, so let's accept that. And what have they to say? What's their experience? Even if it turns out they're wrong, you know, it's still the human experience of going through these type of things.
Yeah. Plus, as well, I think what would come into that a lot is that no one really knows what this Western magical tradition is outside of people who have a fleeting interest in it. Like, everyone knows, not everyone, most people know that, like, Buddhism, the aim of Buddhism is to achieve some sort of enlightenment, you know?
Yeah.
But, like, you know, if it was to come out that, like, you're into magic, and people would just like, what? But then if you explain, no, but it's about enlightenment and awakening and becoming more in tune with myself and the world, they'd be like, all right, like meditation on. Yeah, kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, if it's...
Whereas people immediately think Harry Potter or wizards and all that. Yeah. But I mean, like, that's the aesthetics. That's what, you know, that's what we like.
But like, fuck Harry Potter. I hate Harry Potter. I hate Harry Potter so much. They're just terrible films. It's just awful. I hate them. I know people aren't going to like me for saying that, but like...
I don't know. I think people are fairly well divided and that know that they're not.
No, do you know what? It's the generation under us that we're just ahead of. Like, it's, God, I hate Harry Potter. It's just twee fucking... Oxford, Oxbridge, Boris Johnson, bollocks.
And she turned out to be a nice person, didn't she?
She's nasty, she is. She's real nasty. She is not, Anyway.
She gave away most of her money or something, though, didn't she? At the same time.
Yeah, but she still has tons of it. I know, yeah. So, I mean, she's done some good stuff, but it's the sticking point of her being so transphobic and homophobic. That's just weird, you know. It doesn't.
Yeah, no, there's that kind of meme thing of like having a couple of glasses of wine and just turning into a monster on Twitter. Like, that's the kind of image.
Yeah, I suppose.
But Glenno got banned from Twitter recently.
Yeah, he's gone. Yeah, he keeps popping up on my Facebook as not a friend request, but someone you might know. I was like, no, I don't know him.
No,
right. You know, Frankie Boyle as well. That's a cool one. But I'm afraid to hit that one because the rejection would just kill me.
Here's the thing: if you get, if you get someone's saying someone you know Facebook's recommending to you, I assume you're being recommended to them as well.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah, because there's like people coming up, go, I don't want anything to do with them.
There's one fella, the most famous person who's friends with me on Facebook is the American comedian Rich Hall. You know him? Yeah. So a couple of weeks ago, he sent me a friend request. I'm like, oh, okay, and then looked into it. And it's like, oh yeah, it's him. It's genuinely him. That's a bit mad, but okay. Maybe he wants to come on the podcast. How am I going to tell him I don't do comedian interviews anymore?
You don't. You just
do one. Just do it.
Yeah, but my story, Colin, I've told you before, is that Stephen Perkins, the drummer from Jane's Addiction, followed me. And it's like he doesn't follow thousands. You know, sometimes you go, oh, I can't believe he followed me. And you look and it's like 40,000 people that follow. And you go, oh no, I'm not special. But I think he only follows like 600 people or something like that. So
Come here.
The ratio of followers to who you follow is important.
Of course,
That's the gauge of how important you are as a person.
Yeah, I think finally the podcast page, the Atletico Spullan page, finally has like 1,000 people, 1,000 more followers than followees, I think. But come here, one more thing on Chapman, yeah, because I saw on the Discord that you've done, because I think I've only listened and read up to part 6, 5 or 6. I mean, I haven't done all of the 12 steps of it, like.
Right.
When he gets into because you mentioned something, I think, was it banishing or branding? Is that what it was called?
No, oh my God, my brain's not working. The binding, yes. The
Binding, yeah. So what's that all about?
Well, the binding is this kind of idea. Let me see. It's a confusing idea in that it's not confusing at all once you understand it, and I don't fully understand it because when it clicks with them, they go, "Oh, right, I understand."
So it's a woman.
Yeah, the binding is a woman. And I kind of got mixed up because when he was doing Wiser, which was the previous incarnation of this before Mergia, which was kind of a more, I think, an attempt of trying to put all of this stuff in a kind of a Headspace-like app.
Okay.
You know, kind of.
He was
trying to do studies and all this, and he put in so much work or whatever, and then his dude on the other side goes, this isn't it. You're gonna have to delete this and start again. And he went, no, and he put in like. I know because I did lots of artwork for him for that site, and he'd done loads of videos and all that. Anyway, incidental. But so this idea of binding, it's a bit similar to what a guy called Pierre Grimes talks about, but not. It's not that. It's not just taking that kind of a thing. Or it's this idea, and we've talked about this before, that if you have some sort of issue or something going on with you, which is in Chapman terms is called a shadow, and in other people's, but in this was, and so it's trying to find that will repeat. That as a repeating thing that happens over your life. You will find the same thing happening in different ways, and it's like you're an actor playing this role, and so you have to discover what the role is, what is exactly it is, and by getting the definition of that, you kind of bind it in a sense because you have, you've seen, you've Rumpelstiltskined it, and you found out his name. Now you have power over it. Okay. You know, when you're unaware of it. And so you kind of find, like, so say you play a role with your mother where you are, I don't know, indignant child or something like that. And then you kind of look like, oh, well, that's something I do with other people. That's something that this kind of particular battle. And you try to work it back to the earliest time that you are able to find that you come from. And then you just go through this process of there's different kind of questions you ask, and it kind of reveals a bit around it. But what happens is that you realize that there's been some sort of transmission event where, and this Pierre Grimes talks about this as well, where if a figure that you have put authority in, or you believe it's telling you truth, or reveals the secret of the universe to you, or of life, but for the most part, it's a false conclusion. You know, it's something that's wrong. It's like you've learned from your dad that, I don't know, that you should be jealous, whatever it is, and it's usually a scene where he transmits that to you, and then you take on that role, and then you play that in the world. Okay. And so the full kind of resolution of that kind of incident isn't just that you blame your dad for giving you this role or whatever. Is you see that he obviously got that from somewhere, and that that there's no blame, there's nothing to forgive, because it's just that this is the process, this is the thing, and that what you notice that things that you kind of say blame your dad for aren't really, because he said it once, say, right? He did this thing once, but you've been saying it since that point to yourself. As him. And so you've been playing, he gave you the role and you've been playing it. So it's like you stopped doing it. Okay. Rather, and this kind of thing. And it's about naming the role. And then it's so weird because when we were in the Discord he would go through different ones. He did one with me and he did one with a couple of other people where he'd go through the actual process trying to, get it. And there's a moment in all of them where people just go, oh, fuck. But usually it's, oh, fuck. But it's where you realise that you're going, oh, I knew I was doing that, but I didn't know I was doing that. And then you see it and you go, holy fuck. Or you see there's the revelation of it, and that's the moment. But to stop you going back and continuing to play that role is you name it, you do the forgive. The whole thing, it's in the process is all there on his website. But it is hard to get your mind around, and you probably do need someone to go through it with you. I don't fully understand it, so I'm not going through it with anyone because I'll only confuse it. But that stuff like that came up in the therapy as well, in the EFT, where it's similar. It's like the inner critic that we've spoke about before. That's the role. So someone give you that. That happened. Not someone give it to you, but there was a transmission scene where that emerged first. And so if you can date back to where that was and you can see it, you can understand it and you can name it. And then the power is seeing that rather than you think it's you, it kind of externalizes it a bit. And with the idea of like binding, which is one of the oldest magical spells that we know of, you're binding, which is basically the two magic things you had was getting stuff and stopping stuff from happening. With the third being divination, trying to understand it. But so the binding to stop it. So that's kind of the idea. Does that make sense?
No, that totally makes sense. So it's kind of like you build up these kind of shields or onion rings around onion. What am I saying? It's like there's a layer of onion. What the fuck am I saying?
Well, it's like
there's all these layers around you. You are an onion. There are all these layers that come down.
And underneath, it's like you are the shit, but you can become the gold. It's the same. Okay. It's the alchemical process. Yeah. But it's all of these roles, all of these things. It's all these. It's in other words, all of these pendulums that you have decided are true and that you play, and that you're not even aware that you're playing.
You've attached them to yourself, and now they're part of your ego. So you need to, take it down.
Yeah, get rid of it entirely. Yeah. He'd say he has got rid of all of his entirely. And that's a big bold claim. And
that must be very difficult, though, because how can you, like for someone like me, like the thing that, I've spoken with this loads of times, the thing that I hate about myself is that I get angry when I'm driving and really judgmental of people. Because I have this thing that driving is dangerous, let's not kill each other. It's that simple. So I won't behave like a lunatic. So please, you don't behave like a lunatic. But the moment someone reacts like a lunatic, I go like fucking arsehole, fucking like we drove from like Mickey's school to home the other day. It's a 5-minute walk, but we were just in the car and it was starting to rain, whatever. And from the time, like it takes a minute to drive, 2 minutes maybe. And like by the time I was home, Aga had said she clicked me twice. Giving out about people or being judgmental towards people who are bad drivers. And it's like, you shouldn't judge them because they're bad drivers. It's not your problem. It's like, yeah, but it's my problem if they cause me to die. So like, I just think that. So that's a shell. This anger or this judgmentalness.
Well, it's in that Chapman thing. It's a role you're playing.
Right.
It's a role you're playing. Role of angry, judgmental driver.
Yeah.
So there's a judgment.
Yeah.
Right. So at some point, someone give you that role, and it's you. The weird thing is that the thing that you think the other person is the thing. The thing that's the thing you are.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's only because you started doing it since then to yourself. So it's you're both playing the same role. Yeah. Anyway, that's the kind of thing. But his kind of test for how you know if you don't have that shadow anymore, if you've done the work, whatever, is the next time the incident happens, you don't have the reaction. You don't play the role. So it wouldn't be that you're not going and you're going, I'm getting angry, there's the thing, I'll not get angry. It's you go, there's the thing, and you notice you're not angry.
Yeah, no, I know, I get that. But the thing is, like, when I'm driving home in Ireland, I'm the calmest fucking driver in the world. Driving Poland's a completely different ball game. It genuinely is.
Xenophobia or racism you have to deal with.
No. It genuinely is. If you can look up the stats, not anymore, but for something like 6 or 8 years in a row there, Poland was consistently the most dangerous country in the world to drive in the European Union.
Right.
It's not anymore. It's second from bottom now.
And is that because of all your good hard work on the road, shouting at people? You've raised the level of the Polish
shouting
driving.
Shouting at 40 million Polish drivers.
I'll tell you, since Spud came over here, we've really, we've changed. I think you should get a medal, some sort of award. Maybe name a street after him or something. I think, you're doing God's work.
I'm improving them. So I mean, I think that's like, I would love to be the most calm, peaceful driver in the world. And I am when I'm at home.
Yeah.
But this is my home, really. This is my home now. So it's like, I want to get rid of that. But I don't know, like if some douchebag fucking pulls in front of you on us. Like I've had people like, loads of times just try and stop in front of me and make me hit them because I didn't get out of the way quick enough in the fast lane. I mean, get the fuck out of here. You know what I mean?
What's that called? A brake check, isn't that what they say?
Yeah. Loads of times, you know.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, I'd love to get rid of that, but I don't. Not if I don't know if I can. I want it. I definitely want it. But
Well, we'll start with that and go through the process that's on the thing, and see. Even like there's some of the stuff that, while I didn't get rid of it completely, the role or whatever, I massively understand it more than I did.
Yeah.
You need to do like. It's not just 5 things you're going to be doing. Like this is you're going to be doing a lot of these things. Like and a role could reveal another role. You know, like or the role you think you're playing isn't the role at all.
Yeah.
And you'll start with a name, the role, angry, judgmental driver, and by the end of it, it could be lost, scared child. Is the actual role you're playing?
Yeah.
Or you know, so it's and that's the process is finding the real name.
Yeah.
Not the name you think it is, because it's usually not the name you think it is. And within 2 people, so this will be an interesting one because it's hard to see it. So you're saying that the other person is putting you in danger, right? So that in that thing. So in the role, in the kind of binding thing, is that there's a feel that it's usually the opposite, so that you're putting that there's the feeling.
Oh God, I'm petrified of killing anyone.
So that's the role. It's not.
I
the
won't
role.
even kill a fly, man. Everyone
Yeah.
else is here fucking killing flies this time of year. I get a jar and a piece of cardboard and I trap him and then I let him go and be free. And I'm just like, yeah, I don't want to kill a fly. What the fuck?
There
It's
you
not
go.
his fault he's a fly.
The real role is not necessarily them, it's you. So you're closer to the real role there in that you're afraid of killing things.
Of course. How could I not be?
I know. But look, I worked up you already. But then it's probably go back and you'll find out
Okay.
where that happened.
So
no, I mean, you should be...
I shouldn't be afraid of killing people is what
No,
you're saying.
you should be, but I'm saying is, but you shouldn't have it that it's putting you in automative mode in your life. It shouldn't be a thing that just clicks on and then you're playing the role. You should, it should be, of course, let's not kill people. Let's not kill the things. But it should be not necessarily your choice. It shouldn't be just a brain, or it shouldn't be, let's play this code, play this video over again, let's play this loop. And that's what we do. That's all our things. We just play the loop over and over again.
Huh.
Yeah, it's tough though.
Tommy, you might have cured me of my... It's not road rage I have. It's just the judgmental stuff, you know? Maybe you've cured me, Tommy. I'll know next week.
Yeah. Just send me your money. Pay your subscription to the Church of Tommy. We better talk about this documentary.
Yeah, you better talk about this, the reason we're here, huh?
So, the documentary we originally wanted to talk about was a new one from 2019 called The Hat Man, which is on Amazon Prime in the UK, but nowhere else, it seems.
Yeah, not in... I have to use German Amazon. It's not on German
I have
Amazon.
to use the UK one, and I'm not in the UK because for some reason...
obviously.
Most people... not most people. A lot of people I talk to don't know that Ireland's not in the UK, but that's a different story.
Yeah.
But so Amazon we have here is the UK one, but it's a very limited Amazon Prime in that you can only get the free stuff. You can't actually buy anything on it. So like if the new film comes out, like Invisible Woman or Invisible Man, and it goes rent for $3.99 or buy for $7.99, I can't, because you go and it goes no. So it's only a small kind of Prime thing, but it's on it if you want to do it, and it's about basically the shadow man, or this kind of idea of that there was loads of people around the world who had these experiences, and then when the internet kind of started to realise that everyone was having the same type of experience. But of course, Spud didn't get to see that one, and we couldn't even find a cheeky download. So we watched an older one which covered similar ground, and it's probably a more well-known documentary called The Nightmare. It's from 2015, and it's directed by the same guy who did that Room 237, the Stanley Kubrick documentary that's very famous on Facebook, on YouTube, that we should probably look at it sometime. I've kind of know bits.
What's that
and pieces.
about? It's just about
Kubrick, about The Shining, about the conspiracies and the kind of all that stuff. It's like people get well into it, so it's probably something we should look at some point. Because Stanley Kubrick's, he's done some great stuff. I really like him, and he seems like a very interesting character. I watched one documentary about him, and he seems like a very grumpy man, which is always good. Nothing better than a grumpy filmmaker.
Means he has character.
And there was a thing that came out this week of saying the reason why the Matrix sequels were so annoying to film was that they tried to use the Stanley Kubrick thing of you keep doing takes until the actor is exhausted and angry and pissed off, and then that's the best take. So stupid, everything was 99 takes in the Matrix sequels.
Oh, I
so
thought it was just because...
That's why they suck.
Oh, okay, I thought it was just because most people aren't into S&M and bondage and stuff. You know?
Well, maybe. Well, it's hard to know. You think that, and then you see an S&M post on Facebook, and everyone seems to be into it. So, let people do what they want. So, what did you think of The Nightmare, isn't it? The Nightmare? Not A Nightmare, The Nightmare.
The Nightmare. I hated it until the last, say, 5 minutes or so. Last 5 or 10 minutes. And then it went, ooh, that might be cool. You know? Yeah, no,
in the sense of you thought it was all bullshit, or you don't like the idea, or what? Didn't like the documentary. What did you hate?
It's not that I didn't find them believable. It's just that I told you before, I've had sleep paralysis before, but I knew what it was, and because I knew what it was, I was able to deal with it. You know. But I also have reoccurring dreams of something at the end of my bed.
Yeah, the old hag.
I've told you this. It's the old. I'm not even kind of rethinking now if it is an old hag. Maybe because it kind of looks like the hermit on the front of the Led Zeppelin 4, or the hermit in the what was the crab cars? What the fuck are crab cars, Tommy?
I don't know.
No idea. Someone write that down quickly. I'm going to do some lobster tarot, okay?
Jordan Peterson tarot.
The tarot cards, yeah. So maybe it's a hermity figure. I don't know. But like according to this documentary, and we'll get onto that later. You don't want to spoil it at the start. But like, so I don't know. Like I have, and it's since I moved to this house, I've had this recurrent dream that there's someone at the end of my bed. But I was able to kind of control my thoughts on it, just saying, okay, this looks evil or whatever, and I could get scared of it, but actually if I embrace it and say, okay, this is kind of cool, even from the first time it happened, I woke up and I felt really good about it. So I've kind of seen it as that when this happens, someone's looking after me, or I'm just getting a hug from the universe, or maybe it's the HGA, and maybe it's her and she's giving me a hug and saying everything's all right, don't worry about it. And like anytime I have had the dream, it's been at times when there's been kind of something stressful going on or something like that. There's too many things going on in my head, or I'm not myself kind of thing. And I have this dream, and then everyone's all right in the world with the world, you know? And which is kind of like, and I'm lucky that when I did have the sleep paralysis, which happened many, many years ago now, it was in the old apartment. I remember clear as day, it was early in the morning. But over here in Poland, our hours are obviously different than you in Ireland, but it gets even like this time of year, it still kind of gets like in Ireland now it gets dark at 10:30, 11 o'clock at night kind of thing, you know. So in Poland it's dark at 10, but the thing is that it's getting bright at 4.
Right,
you know?
right, yeah.
The days are right. Like Poland's in the wrong time zone. Poland should be in the same time zone as Kiev, an hour away kind of thing. But they won't do that because of the European Union, you know that. They all want to be on the same kind of time as Paris and all this kind of stuff. But anyway, so I remember just waking up and it was a beautiful blue sky outside and the birds were singing and all that kind of stuff. But I couldn't move. I was just stuck to the bed, and I thought, oh fuck, what the fuck is this? Am I dying? Like, am I dying? Oh no, am I dead? And then I realized that I had heard. Remember, there was a famous podcast years ago, Podcast Star. I think it was called Stuff You Should Know or something like that. And everyone was listening to this. Yeah. You know, and I remember listening to a podcast about sleep paralysis, and it just clicked in my head straight away. This is what it was, and straight away I calmed down and I just wrote it out until it went. And there was no shadowy figures. There was no scary thing because it was bright. It was morning. You know, Aga was asleep beside me, but I couldn't move. Like I couldn't move my head to ask for help. Couldn't move out, and I was trying at the start. I was just really trying my best to move my shoulders at least. You know, and. Yeah, nothing. But then it just clicked to me, okay, I actually know what this is, so just calm down, you're okay, you'll go back to sleep eventually. And I did. So, yeah. And I don't know, I think the problem with this documentary is that when all of the people do start going to see doctors and psychologists and all that kind of thing, they're just like, they just dismiss their help as like, yeah, you don't know, man. Which I found.
Yeah, but I also, maybe, but the doctors seem to dismiss them in that the psychologist that one of them goes to, where he explains the whole thing, and she goes, oh, that's mad. You know,
Yeah,
that was
I'm
kind
not
of
buying that. He's also the guy who says that like his girlfriend saw a cat talking to her.
That's a true story. What? Like of all of the things, I believe in the evil cat. Like that, I mean, that entire documentary, the evil cat is the most convincing thing.
It's fucking hilarious. I know it was so funny. It looked like Salem from.
That's exactly what I was
Salem
thinking,
from probably was
Sabrina.
Salem, the same fucking prop. Yeah. Salem from Sabrina with these two bright red eyes.
Yeah. Yeah, cat going to be on your chest tonight. No problem. So the kind of idea, I suppose, the sleep paralysis, that it starts off for about 3 or 4 seconds, kind of just presenting it as a medical condition that these people have, that they've sleep paralysis. Oh, isn't it interesting that there's this kind of similarity between the sleep paralysis stuff and the things people start seeing. And what people start seeing is shadowy creatures that we've all, like, it's like... it's in The Conjuring, there's kind of thing. There's The Tall Man, that film. There's any amount of things, but it's kind of the shadowy figure. And one of them, who seems to be the leader, is this guy called the Hat Man, which is a guy who is a 3-dimensional shadow, but who has the kind of the fedora type hat. It looks suspiciously like the Shadow from the old-time radio, you know, comic noir type stuff. Because in the other documentary I was watching about the Hat Man, they kept trying to describe what he was. And it's like as if they'd never heard the word fedora. They go, no, you know, the old hats. And I was going like, yeah, you know, like, it's from the 50s or something like that. I was going, well, it's probably predate that a bit. But they eventually get round to that he looks a bit like, you know, the Shadow. And then they bring in, you know, what's that port wine? Sandyman Port.
Sandman, yeah.
So that was in the other documentary, because it's exactly the same type of a character. But they have this interview with the man, Sandyman, and all that, and you're expecting it to move towards where it'll go. And so, yeah, so the guy came up with... The drawing, obviously, you know, had heard about or had these experiences, but it doesn't. It just kind of, yeah, some guy in Spain drew it and we used it. I go, what's the point of that? But the whole, like, that other documentary, some of it was brilliant. The reenactments that they have in The Nightmare, you know, where they show the people coming into the room, aren't as good as the ones that are in The Hat Man, to a point. Yeah. The ones in The Hat Man are more creepy because a lot of it happens during the day. It's not necessarily just a sleep thing or whatever. Like there's one where a woman walks in and her baby's crying, so she goes into the crib. It's during the day, blah blah blah. Or at least that's how it's shown on the thing. And the Hat Man's beside the crib, and that's really creepy, you know, and a lot of that kind of stuff.
And she sees it.
Oh, she sees it. Everyone sees it. Yeah, and so there's an awful lot more about the Hat Man, where it's kind of where they're just watching in the house, and there's like kid, you know, walking up the stairs. The Hat Man comes and they just kind of get the sense of creepiness of just being watched, just letting them know they're there, rather than you know, in the other documentary, it's kind of they're coming for them, and there's a bit more of a kind of a UFO abduction, alien type thing feel to it. So they're really, really creepy in that, and like it's much creepier, and they obviously because they've obviously seen The Nightmare, so it's kind of the same type of idea. Interviews and then these reenactments, but the interviews are so badly done because they're on Skype and they're all out of time. You know, that thing, and they didn't even bother to sync up the lips with the footage, and that's just thing. But then in The Hat Man, there's this whole section where they're showing photographs that people have of the Hat Man.
Ooh.
No. Vanessa literally started laughing her ass off at it, and I mean, I we were talking before about why I'm, I suppose, a bit sceptical than I probably should be, given what I'm into, and it's because of things like this. They are so bad, and they're taken so seriously by the filmmakers, in the same way Iroquois was taken so seriously by Prozac in those things. And it's terrible. Like it's like it's again those type of things. If I took a photo right now, I could come up with Hat Man in my room, and it's like that stupid kid's drawing over, you know, oh look, he's here or whatever, and in red light, and then it's, you know, turns off and go. There's literally nothing there. You've just drawn a Hat Man on a photo, and then there's another guy, and he's going, "Oh, the Hat Man's been coming to me for years, and I was going through my photos on Facebook to see if there was Hat Man in it, and there's a photo of a wedding, and over his shoulder there's a woman talking to a kind of silhouetted man, and it's a woman talking to a man at a wedding. Well, no, it's the Hat Man." And they go, oh. Don't do
There's a
this.
really funny bit in this one, in the nightmare, where there's one woman, and you can tell she's in need of help, the best way I can put it. And she says, she's asked by them, did she go look for medical help? She's like, no, I did a Google search. It's like, oh, God, there we go.
Is that the one who said I didn't want someone to tell me that I wasn't experiencing what I was experiencing?
Yeah. It's just crazy.
She ends up finding Jesus, the same one as well. That's revealed at the end. That and I wasn't even a Christian at the time, and she is obviously a Christian now. Yeah. Because she got rid of them by invoking the name Jesus or something.
But she also said, did you catch the bit where she says that she watched she watched Nightmare on Elm Street over and over again.
So a guy in dreams with a fedora who's...
And she said she was looking for clues. As if a 1980s fucking horror film is going to give her the secret to why she has sleep paralysis. Like,
but it is an interesting one. Like, obviously, Wes Craven was aware of this phenomenon because, like, a guy who comes to you in dreams who's a hat. Like, it's obviously, you know... I don't like. See, there's two ways you can look at this, and this is the kind of
which came first? Did Freddy come first? You know what I mean?
Well, the Hat Man definitely seems to predate Freddy, but like it depends what way you want to look at it. Did Wes Craven put that into the kind of the astral plane of people, so now it's more, or is it it's just because that's cool kind of thing, or is he part of the thing where he's it's in the ether and he's getting
like what would have been cool is that if they didn't just concentrate on white Americans, if they just crossed the border into Mexico, just for a bit of fucking cultural diversity, you know what I mean? Now I know it was 2015 in the heady days when you didn't have to be so politically correct, but Hat Man isn't a fucking American thing.
No,
like,
and they
go around the world,
show how prevalent it is in different cultures and stuff like that. But
in the one you saw, Hat Man.
Oh, is that not in? Did they show the map? Oh, right. Well, there is one where just every culture has a different name for it, and there's from Poland has their own one to all over India, and there's a whole map holding. I'm going to probably get confused a bit between the two of them. So, like, they definitely could have, maybe interviewed some people around us. They don't. It's mostly white people in the Hat Man as well, but it's definitely American. I think there's one British guy who's in the Nightmare, is it? Or at least he has a British accent.
Sorry, there is an English fella in it, actually. Yeah. He has a good one where he meets the Hat Man, and he has a kind of out of body thing. That was. Yeah,
he does something similar to you, where he just goes with it rather than fighting it, though, doesn't he? And he just was it him, or he just lying back and he's just going to go? Well, let's see where this goes.
No. He had this thing where he this happens a lot actually. Is that they have these out of body experiences and they see themselves sleeping. There was another woman had it as well, spoke about it as well. But the chap from Manchester, he said that he saw himself sleeping. Or he woke up to sleep paralysis or whatever and saw himself sleeping and then saw the Hat Man, Shadow Man and his two cronies. And he said that the two cronies went to go for him. And then he says something funny. He's like, I'd love to tell you that I put up a noble fight and I won the day. But that's not what really happened. I put up a little bit of resistance and they got scared and went back.
Yeah.
And he says, and then he saw this thing kind of coming from the sky, this kind of white beam, like not a beam, but maybe like a fishing rod.
Yeah, like a fishing line, the astral line thing for his body. Yeah, and he saw that connecting to his head, and he went, "All right, well, sure, better go back to sleep, I suppose." I thought that was kind of cool. All right, so like he had the voice in his head that he said sounded like himself, telling him that he has to go back to his body. Yeah. And so he says, which I was kind of thinking, that would be a great way to fool someone into, if you feel threatened as a shadow man, talk to him like he's talking to himself. Get back in your body. Rather than the shadow man go, get back in your body. I'm not listening to you. I mean,
I think that's an interesting way to look at it, that he had this sleep paralysis and maybe he just, he had kind of a sleep apnea thing as well, which is the thing that I have. And maybe, I know I'm kind of doing a lot of maybes here, but maybe this was the time when he was supposed to die.
Yeah, but there is that kind of thing where a lot of them say, "Oh, this is it. I'm going to die. This is what the feeling." And the guy at the end, the kind of main guy, I suppose, he was saying that, I just feel that I'm not going to wake up from one of these, and this is how I'm going to end up.
But like that's not sleep paralysis then. They should be getting checked for sleep apnea and stuff like that.
Yeah, but here's the thing. This would say it starts off, I suppose, ostensibly about this sleep paralysis, but very, very quickly, like literally 3 sentences into each interview, they go into, and that's when I realised that this was more than just a medical condition, you know. And then it's full. You're basically going full woo at that point, where it's who are, you know, what is these people? What is, you know, what's the agenda? What are they trying to do? And then, you know, they showed an awful lot of stuff from Contact, which is, you know, the Whitley Strieber book, which is like my kind of association with that book is seeing Whitley Strieber when I was very, very young on the Late Late Show. Being interviewed by Gay Byrne, which was like an institution in Ireland. Basically, it was the biggest program on Irish TV, right? That has to be.
Oh God, it still is.
Yeah. So he's been interviewed, and Gay's obviously having none of it. And, well, no, Gay's a great interviewer, so he lets people explain what he is, but he does his faces and he does that all the things that Gay does. But to slowly fade in the cover of the book with the alien. And it's like, I'm very young and screaming at the telly because we think that, the aliens have taken over. Because if you talk about these things, as it mentions in the documentary, when people start talking about them, other people have the similar experiences. Yeah. Or if you haven't had it in months, and then you say it to someone, that the experience comes back. So anyway, the interview comes, or the alien thing comes in, and we're screaming, alien invasion, all this. And my mum's going, will you stop? It's just a book cover and blah, blah, blah. She then, years later, says she was absolutely terrified. She thought the aliens were invading. The whole thing, just going like, oh, but I can't, I didn't want to say that. But the show footage from Contact, which is the Christopher Walken film that was made out of the Whitley Strieber, which is not a great film, in fairness. It's very insane and it's a bit puppety. It's a bit Jim Henson in places. But they're saying it's a similar, and Whitley Strieber does say, because he never said it's an alien abduction really, or he doesn't really talk in those things. He just says something's happening, and he doesn't know what it is, and he doesn't know if it's outside of his mind, or if it's actual physical things, or both, or it's overlapping, or it doesn't matter. All of these type of things. He's an interesting type character. He wrote a great book with Jeffrey Kripal called Supernatural. The supernatural rather than supernatural. Where he explains something, and then Jeffrey Kripal, as a scientist, talks about it. Okay. From that kind of thing. It's very, very good. There's one particular creepy bit in it where he's talking about a kid being outside he lived in a cabin in the woods, essentially. Now, not as there's people around ish, but it's a cabin over, but people, a kid standing outside his window talking and stuff like that. And it's quite it's really creepy in the book. Yeah.
Oh, I wouldn't like that.
Yeah. But the whole kind of thing that I think is different in a sense between the sleep paralysis that you and I had, in that we both kind of realised it and we were able to talk. My sleep paralysis one was that I woke up and the feeling that you're going to fall out of the bed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I also had sleep paralysis, so I wasn't able to stop myself. And I felt, and you feel yourself bleeding. And I couldn't. And it was like that whole thing of trying to shake, do all the thing or whatever. But I assume I just went back to sleep or whatever. But it's creepy. But there seems to be this, it's a frequent thing that happens to these people. It was every night. And there's a huge element of fear that they can't talk themselves out of, that they can't get past, that they don't seem to have a control. There's a lot, and I don't know if that is, because some of them do say, well, I tried all these things, I tried different things, and I still couldn't get past it, other than the Jesus name.
They're a bit dismissive of it, though. That's what I didn't like about it, was that, especially the chap from Manchester, the English chap, he says that, he was told to change his lifestyle. And then his argument back was, yeah, but they don't know my lifestyle. That's not a fucking excuse, you dickhead. Yeah. If a doctor tells you to change your lifestyle, you maybe listen to him, Yeah,
but I suppose, I think his kind of thing was going that way. If you go with a sore knee and the doctor says, do you smoke? He goes, yeah, well, just stop smoking. It's kind of like going, well, it's not what the fucking problem with my knee, but it's kind of the knee.
But he's wrong, though. You know what I mean?
No, I understand. Yeah, but also the doctor should have probably asked him what his lifestyle was, and should have brought in the different. But you have 15 minutes with a doctor,
that is a big problem in the world. But they'll all say that sleep paralysis comes from stress and being overtired. Because but I'm sleeping loads. Yeah, you're sleeping loads because you're wrecked. Because your lifestyle is shit. So calm the fuck down a bit and look after yourself.
And there's no way people who are going through that every night are going to bed at 10 o'clock going, nice sleep tonight.
Exactly.
Even some of them say that one of the guys says that he just had to wait till he was absolutely exhausted to go to sleep. There's no way.
Yeah. But you're not getting good sleep then, because like that's what was happening to me for years. I mean, I actually did a bit of counting back today. Like I remember being 12, 13, and that's kind of when I started working with my dad. And I would suffer from these bad nosebleeds and all this kind of stuff, and I'd just be wrecked in the morning. Right. He was going off to local shamans and whatever in the village and buying these bottles of tonic that they'd make up for me and stuff. Yeah. But like looking back now, it's like obvious. I just had sleep apnea from then. I've had this for so long that I've just always been tired, you know. And I'm lucky that I didn't have a lot of sleep paralysis. I only remember having it once. I remember, of course, we've all had nightmares, but it's different. Sleep paralysis and sleep apnea are two very, very different things, you know? Whereas, like I remember years ago, like, I wouldn't be able to fall asleep on a bus or a train or anything like that. But now I'm like, if I'm not driving, I'm asleep. You know, because I'm so tired all the time. Not now anymore, the sleep apnea is under control. But, like, when this was really bad now, when this got really bad, like, just anywhere, I'd fall asleep anywhere. So just overtired. And all that. But sleep paralysis seems to be more to do with stress in your life. And like, you know, the people who were in that thing, they all look fairly strung out, like, you know. Yeah,
well, but I mean, conversely, if that is the experience they're having, of course they're going to be strung out. You know, which came first, the strung outness or the experience? The same, the whole thing. The only kind of similar things that happened to me, and I didn't have a sleep paralysis with it, but I had that. Someone's in the room, someone's staring at me. And then it's my own fault, Jesus Christ, when you hear the story. When Chaos Protocols come out first, Gordon White talks about going to the crossroads and catching up with Lucifer and having a chat. And so I was also... Yeah.
Why? Why would you want to talk to that fella? Stay away.
Well, there's many reasons. I mean, like...
Enlighten me, Tommy. Go on. What?
Well, I mean, like, if you, which seems to be the thing in occult circles, that Lucifer's the good guy, not the bad guy. So you're going to talk to the good guy or whatever. It's one thing. That's not necessarily Gordon's unit, but he also is the king of this earth. Like that Satan is the person who's in charge of this earth. If you read it in a certain way, so if you want to get talking to the person who's actually able to do stuff, because God doesn't seem to give a fuck about us in a sense. Like, you can pray all you want to God. Doesn't care, because Lucifer's actually the guy in charge. But then you can kind of go further. Why talk to any of the demons? Why do any of this stuff? Why, you know, because it works for some people, you know, and Chapman certainly would say to stay away from all that stuff, and so do many people. But anyway.
Oh, you have me tempted now, because I'd love a new guitar.
Yeah, but that's the selling your soul, and I suppose it's similar. But anyway, so I was doing stuff like that. I was also reading Peter Gray's book on Lucifer, Princeps, whatever way you want to pronounce it, and doing an awful lot of Lucifer thing. And it was kind of, there was a part of me was going, oh, that's interesting that there's a fear in me in this kind of Lucifer thing, and that I want to check that out. So I'm going to invoke him. Just, you know, let's do it. Let's not have this kind of thing. So I did this whole thing to Lucifer. I was hanging around with him, all this kind of thing. And then for about 3 weeks, at about 3 o'clock every night, I would wake up.
Oh, God. Oh, no.
With the unbelievable sensation that someone was in the room looking at me, particularly close to the door. And I kept having these visions of the door slightly opening and like an eye or something. That never happened. You know, when you wake up from a nightmare and there's that kind of weird, horrible thing. But it was that, but it was definitely, there's something in the room. There's a presence, there's a thing. And years ago, when I was young, myself and my sister used to talk about, you know, ghosty things or creepy things and stuff like that. And we always used, at some point, we would go, oh, we're in that place. Because it felt like the kind of atmosphere of the room would change. It would get lower, it would get denser. And there was the sense that you had, and I suppose, gotten the attention of something, some being or something, and it was now looking at you.
Yeah, I get shivers down my back here, man.
I know, it's
freaking
so creepy,
me out.
man. It was, and we used to call it that place. We're in that place. And it only ever happened one other time with one other person. It was a friend of mine, Dave, and his mother was, he was a really interesting character. His mother was like a Dr. Soul type character, you know, had the health shop, the crystals, talk to dead people, could read your past lives, all of this. Her husband was a musician who channeled Jimi Hendrix and would record albums from Jimi. But he'd top 40 hits and stuff like that. Yeah, his top one of it was like remember the Fuckle song came out. He wrote a song saying I won't sing the Fuckle song, and that got like in top 20 or something. But really interesting. But we were in their house. For some reason, I don't know, me and him, and they'd gone to bed, and it was just me and my friend Dave, and we were talking about whatever, and that thing happened again, that place. And it's really creepy, really, it's thing. The only other, when I got stoned, it kind of happens recently, and only like really far too intense, really. And it's kind of that thing that's described as Coranzon, that kind of energy, whatever. But anyway, these 3 weeks of having messed around with Lucifer got the attention of whatever those I got the attention of. But it went away, and it wasn't that I was waiting every night at 3. It was almost like I'd wake at 3 and go, oh, I forgot this happens. Oh shit, here it is again. Oh, shit. So it wasn't that I was kind of, in a sense, maybe part of my brain obviously was preparing for it and creating it, all that kind of stuff. But it was every time I forgot, and then when I'd wake up, and it was always like 3:11, around this kind of time. And it was like, oh no, and I'd get up and I'd go to the toilet maybe, and I'd go, oh no, and it's like, don't look in the mirror, don't look in the fucking mirror, just go for a pee, go back to bed. So it's like, I was thinking that after it was like, so I call up Lucifer, he arrives every day for 3 weeks, and I ignore him.
You don't even talk to him.
I don't talk to him.
Fuck this guy, man. I got all the cool songs, man. Look at this sexy Gibson SG you could have had. It's got the horns and all. Fuck's sake.
So that's the so. I understand, but there was no sleep paralysis with it. It wasn't, and it was definitely. I woke up to there's someone in the room, and it's creepy as fuck. Like,
look, what annoyed me about this documentary was that I didn't find myself becoming sympathetic enough to anyone in it, except for one character, the guy with the mustache, who I really liked. But with a lot of them, I just kind of seen the problem as the problem's easy. The problem's you. You're not willing to face this thing. It's not that you're enjoying it, but it's that like you have this thing and you've made it such a massive part of you now that you can't kind of let go of it. Whereas that like if you just, sorted out the stress levels in your life, you wouldn't have this and you'd be okay. But no, I don't. Maybe I'm wrong here on it. Maybe it wasn't shown properly how bad the problem is, because it comes across that they're having bad problems. But still at the same time, I just wasn't, I don't know, I didn't buy into enough. And maybe that's just because I've had this before and I also had this other sleep problem anyway,
You see, the problem is that they don't think it's a medical issue, for the most part. Yeah. None of them. They all think it's a woo, actual demons. And particularly in the Hat Man one, the main one talking about it says, this is Lucifer coming into my house.
Yeah, no.
It's like, and you one then in the nightmare, she's talking about Jesus was the only name that she could use, and she became a Christian after it. And then the guy, who had seen, I assume he thought it was some sort of aliens because he had, this visitation since he was like in the crib, and they all seem to remember really early,
He's the guy I liked.
Yeah, I liked him, and he seemed to be, I don't know, not indulging in it or not finding, like there was kind of a hint in the background of the other interviews that this is cool, isn't it? Even though like it's terrible, but he was like going, this is fucking awful, and it's ruined my life. Yeah. Even the other people say that as well, but there was this kind of an underlying kind of current of I'm special.
But him, your man with the mustache, so he had his first experience when he was sitting in the cot, and like that's amazing that his memory goes back that far. Yeah. Because most of us, like, we kind of come online when we're 4, 3 and a bit 4. Like, you're long out of a fucking cot by then. Yeah. So he remembers this thing as being visited by these two kind of grey alien looking things, but their skin was the static that you see on the old TVs, like. And so he had this thing, and then he had that one night, and then after that, then he would never go back into his cot. But then again, maybe he was 4 and just like, I have enough of this cot shit. And the only way my crappy parents are going to get me out of a cot is if I throw a tantrum. So,
but he wouldn't go back into that room again, or he didn't like the room underneath it. Yeah. And he had a word. What was the word he was saying? It was Zion, or he kept repeating the same word.
Zions was what they called themselves. But he had this thing where he went off and lived his life. But anytime he'd come home and visit his parents, this would come back. And he didn't have these events when he was off living his own life wherever he moved. But when he come back, he would. But he said the bit I really liked was this is at the end of it, and he starts talking about this kind of kooky hippie type girlfriend he started going out with who would like see spirits, or she was into like fairies and all this kind of stuff. So one day they were out camping and like, oh, let's make a fairy circle, as like no one should ever fucking do. No. You know, fucking hell, especially the Irish ones, because they'll fucking screw with you if you fuck with them. But anyway, so they make this thing, and she says, "Oh, I can see I don't know what did he had to put his hand on a tree." And I think she stood there with her eyes covered. So she could see this blue kind of spirit coming. And I didn't pick it up whether he sees it or not. I don't think he sees it, but she starts talking to this spirit. And she's talking to the girlfriend, and she's telling this, that, and the other. And then she turns around to the boyfriend and she says, "Oh yeah, she's telling me that you shouldn't be afraid of the demons behind you." So then, right, then he turns around and there's these two staticky looking grey alien types there, and he's like, "Ah, fuck." Obviously scares the bejesus out of him. But then, like, I kind of liked that conclusion, because there's some parts of the nightmare where they're kind of suggesting that there's some kind of conspiratorial underworld thing going on where people are coming in and grabbing souls or whatever. But his is like
feeding off fear, and that's the it's
feeding off
Inc.
fear. Yeah, but his thing is that, like, okay, so this is obviously some type of demon, and then, like, from what I know about reading about demons over the last couple of months and all, is that, like, you know, your demon and your HGA, it's just two sides of the same coin. So if you can make peace with one of them, you can make peace with the other one. You know, and actually they're the same thing anyway. You know, so I think
other opinions are available on demons.
Yeah, but they're wrong.
I think the Hat Man definitely had more experiences that you couldn't discount as, if the stories are true, you couldn't discount as sleep, because it was like there was bits where other people seen them as well. Like there was one bit where there's a kid and for some reason his bed is up. I think he said his mum was collecting dolls or something, and he's on a bed, all teddies underneath him, and the bed's kind of slanted up, so he's looking down.
Yeah, that's the nightmare. That's in the nightmare.
Was that the nightmare? So is that the one then where, well, I'm obviously conflating two things, but anyway, the Hat Man comes up the stairs, and you can slowly see the hat coming up, and he's coming up or whatever. But the mum comes in and grabs the kid and takes him out. And she says, obviously she had seen it because she got my dad to go down and make sure there was no one in the house. So that's kind of creepy. If that's, And then the one where the Hat Man was in the crib with the baby, and so the mother walked in seeing the kind of thing. Yeah. So there's that, but I mean, it's as with all this, do you believe it? Like, I mean, that's the bit, you know, like you can take people at the word and stuff like that, and you go, but like, is that how that happened? You know,
see, look,
you're four. How can you really remember?
Yeah.
You know, there's no interview with the mum saying, you know, oh yes, I remember that night, and there was this Freddy Krueger type character.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Well, I mean, the guy I believe is that chap with the mustache who moved away from the country home and then came back, and then stuff was happening. I do believe there's something going on there. With the other guys, with the other people in it, less so, because like, I think with the other guys, it's just a more easily solvable problem. They can just sort out their sleeping habits, and they'll be fine, you know? I think so anyway. Whereas like the other guy is just like, okay, like you've got your demon, man, so just, you know, play with it or accept it. And
was the nightmare the one where the guy used to go, when he went to different places and he'd have the experience, but the voices would be in different accents, or there'd be different people?
Jesus.
That
was mentioned.
Yeah, that was very weird, like, because you go, well, that seems a bit more kind of psychic type thing, you know, and there was one where there was like an old woman talking to him, and because an awful lot of the Hat Man and the Shadow people don't talk, although supposedly they do, you know, and it's quite, like, there was a kid was talking about how, you know, say shitty things to you and stuff like that, and that's, I suppose, getting into schizophrenia, although I'm hesitant to use that word because supposedly we've been using schizophrenia wrongly, so I don't know.
As well, like, there's so much weird stuff that can happen when you were asleep and you don't really register it. Like for a long time, our oldest boy was saying that there was something coming into his bedroom at night time.
Oh no.
No, right. So I would kind of question him on this and try and get some details out of it. You know, like if it was a thing, what is it? You know, whatever. And then I realized, just put two and two together, like, I go into his bedroom at 12 o'clock every night and tuck him in. Make sure the covers are on him. Take off his socks if he's wearing socks.
You come in through the window.
Yeah. I come in through the window with a massive clown mask on.
Oh, with a fedora and a blackhead suit.
And I speak Irish to him because that's the language he doesn't know. On milk can gun down to Neil Harris. But he's fine. Like, he never wakes up. So, you know. But that's obviously all it is, you know what I mean? So
sure, yeah. Was it, you know, there's something where the dog was barking at something, or there was some, definitely you were convinced there was something in your house?
No, the ghost dog. Yeah, we had a ghost dog for a while, and she doesn't see him anymore because the daughter used to, when we put her in the high chair, she used to point at the dog, even though the dog had died, kind of thing, you know, which is kind of cool. I wish we had him though, because the babies make such a fucking mess in the high chairs, and the old dog used to lick it all up. And now we've no dog. We're supposed to get the dog on Thursday. Have I told you about our dog thing? Our dog thing's mad. We're supposed to have gotten a dog for the last 4 weeks. But like something keeps happening. So like I'm convinced it's like an episode of Sylvester and Tweety where like the fucking budgie has died ages ago and they're trying to find a replacement dog. But the dog is a mongrel, so they can't match it up. Like, Jesus, what are we going to tell these people? They're desperate for a dog. I don't know. We're going to have to find something. Fucking give him a St. Bernard. You can't give him a St. Bernard. He's a different colour, a different size. That they won't know. They won't know. Like, I don't know. So we'll see what happens on Thursday. But like, their van has crashed. He got an infection in his balls because they castrated him. Well, not his balls. What was left there?
The guy who was selling it.
The driver.
I go, what?
Chemical castration. Do they do that here? Now, some countries still do that, don't they, for paedophiles?
Yeah.
That's fucked up. And there was some other thing happened as well. He needed castration. Then he got an infection. Then they crashed their van. And there was something else the first week as well. They weren't driving to this area because they're mad. It's a big proper charity, and they drive all over this area. Like the dog is fucking 6 hours away or something, you know.
Right. Yeah.
Anyway,
maybe he's some crimes to solve, some murders, you know. Maybe tomorrow he'll settle down.
Schrodinger's dog. That's what it is. Got one last case to crack. Smoking a cigar in a smoky
one last
room.
person to avenge. And then I'll settle down with the Irish family.
Doctor who cut off my balls. Come here, though, back to this thing on animals, the cat story. We didn't explain the cat story. There's, I would argue he's kind of the main character in it. He's the character.
I think he is. Yeah.
He's interviewed the most anyway. You know, seems like a nice chap, but you know, I think if he did have a better lifestyle, he would sleep. But anyway, my opinion. And he has this thing where he claims that sleep paralysis is what's the word? A virus is catchable. You spread a virus. What's that called?
Contagious.
So he says sleep paralysis is contagious because he breaks up with this girl, or she breaks up with him, and she gets it, and then it's passed on to other people. But they say he tells a story that one night he was having an episode, and he was in bed and he was kind of shaking about in his sleep paralysis, and when he woke up, there was a cat sitting on the girlfriend's. Sorry.
No,
he didn't wake up. The girlfriend woke up while he was having his sleep paralysis.
He's seen a guy hovering over him, shadow guy, red eyes, talking to him, saying shitty things to him.
Yeah,
and he woke up.
Sorry, that was it. Yeah. And then later on, the girlfriend tells him this story that she woke up while he was having his sleep paralysis, and there was a cat beside her speaking in ancient...
On her chest.
Speaking in ancient Aramaic, cursing him or something like that. Did they even have a cat? Where did this fucking cat come from? Like, you know, it's hilarious. I thought it was the funniest fucking thing.
So that is obviously the most convincing bit of the documentary. And if you're going to take anything away from the documentary, is that the cats are evil, and that's
never allow cats inside. Cats must be outside unless you draw chalk around them everywhere they go. I like cats, but not inside for that reason. I don't want them to get red eyes and speak to me in ancient Aramaic, curse me and cast me off with any of the 72 Enochian demons or whatever. Jesus Christ, just crazy stuff. Imagine. Meow.
Feed me.
Meow. Fuck, Tiddles, get the fuck out of here. Ah.
And then doing the hand actions.
Meow! Yeah, freaky stuff. But like, I mean, if they interviewed her, that would have been great. That would have been really fucking brilliant.
It suffers from the there was no doctor. Should have been an interview with a doctor.
Yeah, there's no doctor.
Sleep paralysis.
There's no psychologist.
No. Show the actual thing. But as I say, it was 3 or 4 seconds or sentences in. They had decided this is a woo experience, which is fine. That's what they want to do. And the Hat Man definitely is woo from the beginning. It's
so which
creepy.
is better then? Which is better, Hat Man or Nightmare?
Both are faults. Both are. The Hat Man, from a production point of view, the reenactments, some of them, the one that's really bad. It's like I was just sitting in the sitting room and the closet door opens. And then he just comes out and looks at me, and it's literally like a balloon on a stick that someone has drawn and pulls it out and then pulls it back in. But the early ones of the Hat Man, and it's creepier because it's not just sleep paralysis. It's like people in the sitting room watching telly, and he arrives and the other thing. But they're done better. But the overall quality of the documentary isn't great. It's the interviews are done on not all of them are done on Skype, but it's just they're out of sync an awful lot of them, and the sound isn't great. You could tell that they had a microphone, like a lapel mic, and then they went, oh shit, something happened, we have to use the camera audio, things like that. And it just doesn't, it's not as slick. And the photograph bits at the end are awful. Like it's like really desperate, terrible. And it's like, between the two of them, the Nightmare's better made. But I don't know it's creepier in places, but it's also more ridiculous. It's like overall the Nightmare's a better balanced one, but they're both probably 6 or 7 out of 10.
I think just what spoiled it for me was that I know a bit about sleep paralysis and other sleep stuff, but if I hadn't known that, I'd be totally convinced, probably, except for the cat.
Super interesting though that people see the same people, the same top hat. Like the top hat thing's very weird. And that...
The what?
The top hat, the Hat Man.
The top hat, yeah.
Yeah. So that's weird that, the shadow people you can understand because shadows sleep and all that kind of stuff. The alien stuff, right, that could be in our consciousness. But the fact that they're all... Now, less believable if people start seeing the Hat Man now since the internet and since it's become a meme or a type of thing. But when they all because you could say, I got on the internet in 1994, 1998, and we all started talking about, and we all realised...
Yeah.
that we were seeing the same person. That's super interesting.
That's
interesting from a Jungian point of view as well as it could be a woo point of view. If you want to go woo and that there's this Hat Man, that's creepy. But if you kind of go, this is how we manifest, our deeper, darkest fears. It's interesting that we put a top hat on them, or a fedora or whatever. That's an interesting symbolism that has to be relatively new because it's a relatively new hat. So it's not from the deepest, darkest jungles because there was no, there's no guy going around, Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
So it's a new, but it's the same thing. So it's the UFO stuff changes as well.
You know what? It's Slash. That's what it is. It's Slash. Slash sold his soul to be that good on guitar.
He's just coming in and go. And cold November rain, big spread eagle legs, just
and because he's so good, he's had to have 2 crosses to bear. He had to be in the same band as Axl fucking Rose, number 1, and then number 2, he has to haunt the fucking dreams of innocent people all over
Slash?
the world.
Why is he late for the gig? He's just doing things.
He's haunting someone again. Slash. He's either doing heroin or haunting. It's always one. Poor old Slash. No, I liked it. I wanted to like it more. That's the thing. It's just I think it's one of those things where it's that like when you're watching a film or a documentary, you're always kind of thinking, right, what would I have done differently to make it better? And I just would have got it's the interviewees who let it down because they're just not. Okay, they're telling us their truth, but it's just not convincing enough. If that makes sense.
Well, it's not convincing if we're talking about it purely as this is a weird thing that happens to me, rather than this is a phenomena. You know what I mean? Like if it was just a pure, it's because you can't. Oh, how do I say this without being hypercritical of them? the conclusions they get aren't believable.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's whereas I totally 100% believe they're having the experience.
Yeah. Like, I don't understand why like there was no psychologist or psychiatrist in it, because like these people are very open-minded to things that go on in the brain.
Yeah, yeah.
They're not going to just dismiss something and just say, nah, that's obviously not happening, because they look at a problem and they'll say, well, that might be happening because da 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 da, or da 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 da, or there might be something in their childhood that caused this, that, and the other, and they'll give some explanation. But then again, maybe that's why they were interviewed and cut out, because they gave explanations. Maybe you know. I don't know. It's hard to know. It's
or it's a completely real phenomenon, and that's super creepy. Maybe I just don't want to accept that.
That would be really creepy, you know. But like, I mean, I don't talk to this hermity woman, and I know it's a woman. I don't talk to her. I registers there, and I just, like, at first I would have been scared, but then I had the wherewithal to say, nah, this is okay. And at the same time, anytime when I wake up and I see her thing there, I just go, all right. But then I know, like, the next day as well, it's that, like, okay, I'm putting myself under too much stress, or I'm in my head too much.
Yeah, but think of that only with overwhelming fear that you can't get out of. And that's the experience they're having.
No, I know that, but but then my thing too, like, if I was talking to someone here, I would say, yeah, but like, you just need to turn the fear on its head and say, I have no reason to be afraid of you, because like, you're a dream. You're not real.
Yeah, it's the exact same thing as a bad trip or the mushrooms or whatever you're on. It's the same idea of how you get out of a bad trip. We're meant to be doing the podcast now, Skype is telling me.
Have we time travelled?
You know what I mean? So it's that thing you have to face, you know, like in a nightmare, you turn around and you face a demon, blah, blah, blah. It's all of that type of stuff.
Yeah.
But always much easier said than fucking done when there's a guy, when Slash is playing, you know, Don't Cry solo in your ear, telling you're a terrible person.
I'm going to play Civil War. No!
This is one from the solo album from Slash's Snakebite. No! Stick to the hits.
No, there's a nightmare. Goodbye, Tommy.
Bye.